The following podcast contains spoilers, adult language, and I don't know what else. I mean, I'm still not sure I even know what's going on. Do you?
Wait, where are we? I mean, what? It's what day? What year is it in?
I don't know, Steve. I just don't know.
This is a message from the Office of Emergency Preparedness. Due to the recent crisis, we ask that you remain in your homes. Do not attempt to communicate or interact with the creatures, even if they are people you know.
Lock your doors. Bar your windows. The dead are coming. It's time for Aim for the Head, an all Walking Dead universe podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Diana and Steve.
Hi, and welcome back to Aim for the Head podcast. I'm Diana.
And I'm confused. And Steve.
This is podcast episode number 287 with, sadly, our continuing coverage of the always disappointing Fear the Walking Dead. This week we are discussing the season 8 premiere. Title of the episode is Remember What They Took From You. And boy howdy, I remember what they took from me. It was a quality TV show. Those knuckleheads took it away from me, about 5 years ago. That's about when they started working on the show, about 5 years ago. So, yeah.
It was 2018, yes?
Yes.
Yes,
so,
it was.
So I should we do quick thoughts and then positive thoughts or should we do the positive thoughts first? I just thought about that.
However you want to do it. Doesn't matter to me.
You know what? Before we get into the details of the episode and our thoughts on the actual episode, I had kind of a brainstorm this week, and I wanted to see about, before we get started, like dunking on the show, because let's be honest, that's what we'll be doing. I thought it'd be interesting, since this is the final season, that every week before we get started, we would talk about something in the back catalog, the history, an old episode, something that we liked about the show. It could be a character, it could be a scene, it could be a moment, it could be a storyline, what have you. So yeah, we're going to try to do that so that we'll have like a positive thing. And then what we'll do is we will dive headfirst into the empty pool that is season 8 of Fear the Walking Dead. So there you go. Did you want to go first with your positive thought, or you want me to go first?
Oh, I think you should start.
Oh, you think I should start? I love that. I'm going to say I'll probably get into more specifics when I have a little bit more time to sort of gather more thoughts about it. But I would say overall, I'd say season 3 was probably my favorite season. I really liked the storyline at the autos. I liked the preppers. I liked, that whole community, because they weren't your typical like big bad. They weren't even a big bad. They were just people. So it was like a community, but they were different than you would see in any other kind of sort of apocalyptic story. So I thought that was really a really interesting storyline. That's probably my favorite one of the whole series. I thought everybody was really sort of firing on all cylinders. And I love Dayton Callie, and I thought he was great as Old Man Otto. Yeah, so yeah, I would say that to start things off. Season 3, my favorite season. So that'd be something to talk about. But I'll have different scenes and people to talk about as we go through each week from that season. I'm sure I'll have stuff to bring out. But overall, how about you? What's something positive you can say about the past of Fear the Walking Dead? Not the future or the present, but something in the past that you actually really enjoyed about the show.
I think probably just off the top of my head, I would say it's the dam exploding episode. That was probably one of my favorite. It was one of my favorite dam episodes of the whole show. And there are a lot of dam episodes that they covered, but that one in particular, when the dam explosion, was pretty damn great. So that one would get.
Well, there you go. That kind of seals that deal. All right.
And actually, I do think it's a really good idea because I think, this is going to be a slog. And it will allow us to kind of look back and remember a time when the show was much better than it is now. I'm going to have to go back and kind of at least, look at some of the episode descriptions and kind of go, oh yeah, that happened. Cause a lot of it is very fuzzy for me. And, what was the name of Cliff Curtis's character? I don't remember. It was something, but I don't know, and like the stepson, what was that dude's name? And, there's so many characters that I remember, but I don't. So, so I'd have to definitely do a little more research.
Yeah. So this will be something we do every week. I know in the past we have endeavored every week, the last few seasons, to, in the midst of the slog, try and find something in the current week's episode that was positive. Mm-hmm. But I think, as I said to Steve before we started recording, I think we're going to have a hard time this season. There are like one or two little things that I enjoyed in this episode, but I'm not sure the way it's sort of heading that. And it sort of takes the pressure off that I don't have to look for something in every episode that's good. I can focus on like something from, 6 years ago. Oh, I remember that episode, this one moment. I was actually even thinking about, because it's only the 6 episodes, I was thinking about watching season 1 again, just to remember a simpler time, a better time. A time when the show was enjoyable, if you were. So that's something I thought about, or at least like maybe cherry picking a couple of episodes from each, the first 3 seasons, and reminding myself of, better days. So better days. So speaking of better days, let's talk about the crap. So quick thoughts. Who went first last week? I don't remember.
Just ladies first. You can start.
All right, so we'll start off fresh. So quick thoughts on this week. I wouldn't say it was 100% hate. There were some concepts and ideas that I think in better placed hands might have been okay. But there's just, these guys are just so good at taking good things and squandering them wherever they can. I just felt like there's too many unbelievable coincidences, too many unbelievable things, to be fair. I wasn't clear on where we are, like geographically. They might have said something, but I don't know. I mean, it's swampy. I think it's like Louisiana-esque, but who the hell knows? So I don't know where we are. It took a while to establish when we are. And, it's just more of the same. It's our, I said this actually on, as a comment on Eric Kane's article in Forbes about this episode. He put out something before the episode aired, just a non-spoiler review.
Yep, I read it.
Yeah, and I said, to me, it's more of the same. It's great actors stuck in absolutely ridiculous circumstances that would never happen to them, and saying words that make no sense for their characters or whatever, but doing it in scenes that are beautifully shot with great special effects, and the imagery and the settings look amazing. It's just, if that's your only good thing, it's so difficult. So yeah. So how about you? What are your quick to not so quick thoughts?
Wow. Well, I just have to just tell everybody I tried. I really tried. Okay.
I did too.
I went into this. And I'm like, okay, this is their last season. Maybe they will, kind of just go for it, right? Because what do you get to lose? It's not like you're trying to get renewed and or anything, whatever. And I did, and I went into it and I really tried to push my very, very strong dislike for the show the last 2 seasons and just see what happens and be open-minded. And I'm sorry, it's not good. No. It's not. And I read Eric Kane's review, his non-review review.
Yeah, the non-spoiler
that
one.
He posted first, and I think he was much kinder to it than I was expecting, to be honest.
I actually went into it with a little more positivity because he had a little bit more hope, or you know what I mean, than I was expecting. So I was like, oh well, maybe they, So yeah, because he said something like, this is like one of the better episodes they've done in a while. And I kind of looked at it as it's just continuing on, the record of like you said, disappointment. And everything you said was correct in that, this because this is part of the Walking Dead universe, the production values are through the roof, and it looks great, and the ghouls are great. And the set design and the costume design and the props and all of that looks amazing. And the swamp setting that they were in, at least for this episode, was certainly different. We haven't seen that. And Eric Kane even pointed this out, that for the last couple of years, more basically last year with the nuclear wasteland, everything was kind of gray. And there really was all
not
one tone,
much color at all. Yeah. And now here we had the lush greens and, all these kind of colors that were like, hey, I didn't realize Fear could have colors,
Right.
But I think that unfortunately, again, what the knuckleheads, what their idea of what gripping television is, and they actually, one of them said this in the little featurette that came on at the end of the episode on AMC Plus, is that, here we have Morgan and Grace, and they've both decided that Mo/Ren should be raised by Padre, and they shouldn't have anything to do with it. And now we get to spend the next 5 episodes discovering why. And that's what they think is dramatic. That's what they think is going to be compelling TV. And let's be honest, when they finally get there at the end of episode 6, who has their hand raised right now thinking it's going to be stupid, right?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's, but that's their idea of this is going to be compelling TV. We're going to have a character come up with some viewpoint that just goes totally against their past setup, and then we can explain what happened, and that's gonna, and I'm sorry, that's terrible. You can't do that. And then the other thing is, this is a season premiere. Where's everybody else?
Yeah, it did not feel like a season premiere. It was and we'll get into this later, but I mean, you've got this 7-year time jump, and it's like, it's 7 years later. What, is everyone else like still on the rafts? Well, no, that clearly isn't true, because there's thrown in there in the crazy, awful dialogue was something about how Morgan like gave away the raft, the little flotilla, to Padre at the beginning. Yeah. Right. And so they went and rounded some of them up, but some of them weren't there. I don't know. They kind of said it. They didn't. But again, this is a season premiere. And one thing that these two guys have proven since they started is that they just cannot tell multiple stories at one time. Yeah. They don't do it. It's like, nope, it's going to be this character and this character for 5 episodes, and then we'll jump to 2 other characters it's just, they can't do it. And I'm sorry, this is the season premiere of the final season, and we don't see June, we don't see Dwight and Sherry, we don't see Daniel, we don't see, the stupid cat, we don't see anybody other than Grace. Right. Like, where the hell is Strand?
Yeah, right. It's just all of those other people. No, there's nothing. And I'm sorry, that's unforgivable. It's like, look, guys, if you just want to tell a story about Morgan and Madison, that's fine. But then kill off everybody else.
Right.
Write them out of the show if you don't want to use them. But this kind of limbo of, well, they're doing stuff somewhere over there. We're not going to watch. I mean, no. So I don't want to say I'm disappointed, because I kind of figured this is what it was going to be, and it was. So very, very, I will say it, very disappointed, but we've got 5 more to go before the break, and let's just kind of plow through them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, disappointed. Hopeful. I mean, I was cautiously optimistic, but it just, could have gone places, and it didn't. So let's talk details. Before we do that, let's first let's talk episode description. So, Steve, why don't you go right ahead?
All right. Well, tonight's episode description is brought to you by...
Hello, friends. Have you been a loyal fan of Fear the Walking Dead since 2018? Have you been there for every second of every episode since Season 4? Have you savored all of the unlimited ammo, always working walkie-talkies, and radiation that wouldn't know a Rontgen from a rutabaga? Well, thanks to the geniuses at Knucklehead Industries, now you can show off your fandom by joining the exclusive Fear the Walking Dead Season 8 fan club, the Mo-Rens. Established in May of 2023 to celebrate the 8th and final season of Fear the Walking Dead, the Mo-Rens is an exclusive club for people just like you that are truly committed. Or should be. Membership includes special membership cards so you can easily prove to anyone that you are a Mo-Ren. A custom t-shirt that says, "Why do I still watch Fear the Walking Dead? Because I'm a Mo-Ren." And a collectible button that says, "You're looking at a Mo-Ren." So call us now at 900-555-5515 and tell us, "I still watch Fear the Walking Dead, so I should be a Mo-Ren." And your credit card number, and we will rush your membership package out to you today. Allow 20 to 22 weeks for delivery. Membership is billed in 35 monthly installments of $229.99. So act now. The sooner you call, the sooner you can proudly proclaim to everyone that you're a Mo-Ren. Membership is non-cancelable and non-transferable. Shirts only come in size small, but that really won't bother you because, let's face it, you're a Mo-Ren.
All right, that's hilarious, and really it's great because now we all can say that we are Mo-Rens.
And I just want to know, when are you going to sign up? I already called.
I do. Call the number and give them your credit card.
That's right.
If you are watching. Well, it's just if you're a fan. I'm not a fan. I'm just watching. So really they should send me this package as a care package. I'm an unintentional Mo-Ren.
Did you not hear, though? You get a button that says, "I'm a Mo-Ren."
I did hear. I did hear. Oh, my God. This show. Unbelievable. Yeah. All right.
This is where we've come, people.
Yes. Episode description.
Okay,
let's do this.
Moving on. All right. This is Fear the Walking Dead, season number 8, episode 1. The episode is entitled "Remember What They Took From You." And the description that we have gotten is as follows. To reignite everyone's belief in a better world, Morgan and Madison set out to rescue a now 8-year-old Mo from Padre. And that is your episode description. And really, was that was the reason why they set out to rescue Mo? It was to reignite everyone? I mean, who's everyone? I don't understand that description.
Yeah, I didn't see anything igniting or reigniting. I don't know.
No.
I mean, they literally gave her up. Like, Morgan didn't set out to rescue her at all. He wanted to give her. He literally was like, "Take her back, take her back."
That's what he wanted to do. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Okay, so let's jump right in here.
So let's talk. Do we have to talk about the writers?
Yeah, we probably
because it's not people we want to talk about. It's it's the Knuckleheads.
No, it's the Knuckleheads. They. I would imagine that they're going to write the series finale in 11 episodes, and they probably will do 1 or 2 other episodes as well. We know them. We know who they are. Let's not waste any more oxygen talking about them. Our director is Michael Satrazemis, and he is, I would say he's probably in the Walking Dead universe, he's probably like the number 2 director behind Mr. Nicotero. Wouldn't you agree?
I would think so. Yeah, probably.
Yeah. You know, and again, we've talked about him many times because he's directed episodes all over the universe and all the different shows, and you know, probably has 30 or 40 episode credits to his name. And I believe he started out as a cameraman first and kind of worked his way into the director's chair. And again, you can tell that he's the director on this one, because the episode looks pretty good. The action sequences are well shot, and it is technically a well-made show. It's just, the script is really not, doesn't live up to that, the production elements at all. It kind of lets it all down. But that is your writer and your director.
Terrible. It felt like the episode was like, it picked up, like it started and I was like, wait a minute. Did it feel like there was like at least a minute scene prior that they cut out or something? It just felt so like jerky. Was it just me? Because it opens up with like they take the thing off of Morgan's head and he's in that office and they have the whole thing, and I don't know. It just felt very. I mean, yes, it seems like in that moment there was a little bit of a time jump from the finale, because he at least a small one, like maybe a couple of weeks or whatever. But you have to like really pay attention for that to even make sense, because he's in like the same clothes and he's in like the same room and they pull the thing off and you're like, you don't know what's going on. It just was, it's just a confusing and sort of like disjointed and way to sort of start it all off,
Yeah, it's. I would really like to find out, where the decision to make the time jump happened. Did that come from up above? Did the executive producers, the Gale Ann Hurds and Scott Gimples of the world, say, hey, you know what, you should really bump this show up to where the main show ended, in case we want to spin any of these characters back or whatever? Or was this a knucklehead, decision to, let's just jump ahead? Because it really felt like they just were like, the storyline that we ended last season on, they decided they didn't want to tell, and so they just dumped it.
Right.
Because you're right, because that sequence happens and it's not immediately picking up right where the season finale ends. It's like, a little bit of time must have passed from when they were on the boat, riding away from the dock, and you see that like big Coast Guard ship out in the Gulf of Mexico or whatever that body of water is, and to where they are now, where they take the mask off of his head and he's in the interrogation room and all that. But then, after that scene, there's the massive time jump, and it just seems to me that they're just like, all that other stuff we were doing, we're just gonna flush.
We're gonna abandon that. Yeah.
So you're right. It was definitely jarring. It was definitely like, wait, what are we doing?
Yeah, where are we, and what is? Yeah, I mean, if you have to work really hard to establish where you are, and these are characters and they left off in a sort of cliffhangery position. And if it takes a minute for you to go, what the hell is going on, then you haven't done anything right. I would only say I didn't include it in my notes, but I did enjoy. There's no character name listed in IMDb, but whoever like the lieutenant is there, the gal with like the hair that's kind of like, she looks like she stuck her finger in the electrical socket. I think in real life her name is Laura or something like that. I can't remember. I looked it up, but there's no character name yet.
In the subtitles they do say what her name is at one point.
They do? Do you remember it?
No, I don't. And I remember seeing it and I'm like, oh, I should have wrote that down because I liked her too. I just love the fact. What struck me was amazing was that, even, whatever we are 9 years after the end of the world, that woman still has an unending supply of hair product.
Yes.
Which I thought was pretty groovy. But yeah, the scenes at the end when the three boats pull up and they take Ren and they take Morgan and they they take what's her name too. They don't take Morgan. They take Ren and they take all three of them. The only one they don't take is Grace. When the boats first pull up, that gal has a line off screen and the subtitles said her name. And I'm like, I should have wrote that down, but I didn't. But I did. I liked her, and I liked the older kid that was kind of training Ren.
Yes. I
thought both. Yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna say with the lieutenant gal, whatever her name is gonna be, I liked the look of her. I thought they gave her some kind of overly dramatic dialogue, whatever, but she's got some potential there. I like the look of her. She reminds me of just her look has a very Mad Max quality. She looks like the right-hand man or the right-hand gal of whoever the big bad is in every kind of apocalyptic, just give her an eye patch or or something, you know what I mean? Or she's got a stump for an arm. There's something that's, but it's just and I know this is going to sound weird, but there's just something otherworldly about her face structure and how she's wearing her hair. It just has a very, I don't know, it suits the apocalypse, but it's weird in this format. It's almost like she should be in Dark City or something like that. I don't know. It's hard to describe. She gave off a vibe. I really liked it. So I look forward to maybe getting some more scenes with her. I thought she was really good. But we'll see how that goes. You know how they are. They're very good at squandering good things. So yeah. So I wonder about the voice. Does the voice sound familiar to you in any way? The Padre voice.
I didn't really. No, I don't. It didn't strike me as. I know you wrote that down. That it's was this someone that we might have run into previously, and I think my reaction would be. It would be just like them to bring back some former character like that, but I would just no.
Yeah, I don't have I hope it's not. I'd rather it be a new person because that's more interesting, and less they're already so terrible at stuff that logistically doesn't make any sense, logically doesn't make any sense happening at the same time. And, Morgan just appearing and Grace just appearing, things like that. That's, coincidences. These guys love writing coincidences. So I could see them going down that road, but I don't know. I sadly watched this twice and I didn't recognize the voice. It's a discussion that's happening online. It's why I wanted to sort of cover it. If we think it sounds familiar, the voice doesn't sound familiar to me, not after listening to it twice. It doesn't mean they couldn't be disguising their voice, something we find out down the road, but the way it stands right now, I don't recognize the voice. I hope they keep it the way it is. And I hope it's not someone down the road that just randomly shows up. Who the hell knows? I don't even know who they could resurrect at this point that we haven't seen. Someone's oh, it's Troy, because the online thing is that Madison didn't really kill him in that moment, but I don't know.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, people are I'm she stabbed him with a spoon or something, didn't she? Or a fork? I can't remember.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, it was like she shanked him pretty good.
I don't know. But, I don't know that they'd really, really, really be dragging the bottom of the barrel, but wouldn't put it past these guys for sure.
Well, but see that was the first thing about it that kind of my first moment was when when the Padre voice and Morgan kind of basically go, yeah, I know who you are.
Right.
And I'm like, Morgan, you know who he is? When did that happen? I'm like, really? And again, maybe
there's videotypes of him all across the Southland.
Yeah. Yeah, because attack. Well, but how does Morgan know who he is? That's what I mean. That's where I'm like, what? How do you know who Padre is? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just found out about Padre from Alicia, 20 minutes ago, and then the other thing that I thought was weird. I know this is a little bit later on, but then Madison at one point says both of her kids are dead, and I'm like, no, Morgan told you that Alicia was still alive.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just I don't know. Just real quick, looking on the Walking Dead wiki, they say that character, the gal with the cool hair, her name is Shrike, Shrike.
And I didn't put it in the notes, but all of the people's names on the with Padre,
freaking birds.
They're all birds. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, because the other girl, the bigger girl.
Yeah, the trainer.
That helps Ren. Her name is Dove.
Right, and Madison is Lark. Morgan is Nightingale.
And Nightingale, yeah. So they're all, and then like next week's episode is called Blue Jay.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, they're doing with all that stupid crap. But anyway, so Shrike is that gal's name.
Okay,
and,
Shrike,
and so on.
Yes. I like her. I hope they develop her at least a little bit. Maybe we'll get a little bit more. I mean, they're going back to Padre, so it would be safe to assume we'll see her a little bit. And if she's the face of if Padre stays hidden because it's a person now we know it's a person, also a place. Mm-hmm. Is he a thing too? I don't know. Person, place, thing. Right. If they stay secret and Shrike is like the face of being the enforcer, it looks like there's some kind of conflict that's going to happen starting next week, yada yada, then we will probably be seeing much more of Shrike, which I think will be interesting. We'll see if they make her interesting. Here's hoping. So we go from that opening.
Here's a thought.
Scene.
What if Padre's actually Virginia?
Virginia? Who was
Ginny?
Oh yeah, but she's gone. Isn't she dead?
How do we know?
They shot her in the head. We watched it.
So I mean that doesn't. And this show, people never really get killed. Come on.
It's more. What if it's Heath? That's what it is. It's Heath.
Oh, Heath! Finally,
what happened is he got
back.
He fell in the water as well. He was blown out to sea. He found this place, and and it all went from there. It all makes sense. Really, it does.
I think now I think you're onto something. I think you're onto something.
Don't let the knuckleheads know I said Heath, because then they'll be like, "Oh, that's a good idea." What episode was he in again? Oh my god.
We can totally solve that big mystery.
People will love us forever.
Oh,
we brought Heath back. Oh god. All right, so while we're shitting on it, let's also take heed to there's one thing that actually is good, and if they maintain it the whole season and the whole rest of the season, it'll be the one good thing that they've been very consistent on, the title card. I really have always enjoyed the title card. I like that it changes every week. I like that it's got, Easter eggs. There have been some times where they were much more static and didn't have a lot going on, but they've always been there. And they've so this time around, it's Ren, and she's holding the staff. There's stylistically, there's some flames along the edge. It's flames on the side of my face. It's and the whole image has sort of a green, sort of swampy feel to it in terms of color. And then the bottom of the screen has the shadows or some images of some pieces from that sort of random carnival that they end up walking through later on, which we will talk about, I'm sure. I didn't catch anything else. It was it didn't have a ton of stuff going on, but covered the location. It covered some stuff that comes up in the episode. They did miss a really golden opportunity to like have a walker in the corner with like the glowing mouth, like the green glowing mouth from the stupid shit squish in the mouth. But there's so much they miss opportunities on. I mean, something like that is so small. So yeah. So Padre, the opening scene with Ren learning how to fight, etc. I like the fencing masks. I think that's different. We haven't seen that before. I don't know where. I mean, and everybody's wearing them, so I don't know where they found like 300 fencing masks. But I'm very happy that they did this far into the apocalypse. So, but it's a look we haven't seen before. I applaud them for trying to do something that looks different. I also like the fact that when they're doing this training thing, the first thing they do is they smash the teeth out of the ghoul, which I'm like, hello, why haven't other people done this? When it's clearly, and it's just a ghoul that's used for training purposes, so they don't want there to be any death involved. But my big question was what was up with the green goop. So I guess we can talk about that a little bit. What do you think it was?
Well, I think that it's like a sponge that they cram into the ghoul's mouth. I don't know why it's green. I don't know what all that was, like the green suds or whatever. But the idea, I have two thoughts. One, if you remember, Ren put on this like white kind of outfit.
Yeah, she did.
And I mean, they made a real distinct point of showing her like putting it on, and she has this weird kind of medieval hood she put over her, that covered her, the back, everything except her face, and then she buttoned up this white thing. And I thought, on one hand, it might be, if at the end of this exercise, if you have any of that green crap on you, that means that in real life the ghoul would have bit you and you'd be dead and you fail.
Yeah.
And the other possibility is it's just more of a safety precaution because even though they smash the ghoul into the metal, whatever that piece that's sticking out, and it smashes a lot of their teeth out, not all of them are going to come out, and there might be some shards in there so that it could still kind of bite you. And as we've seen on the show, unless you're, Alicia Clark, if you get bit, you're going to eventually die. And, even like just a tiny little nibble is enough. And so they put the sponge in the mouth to make sure that it can't really bite you. I think that was my take. It was one of those two things. But again, I don't understand what the green stuff was. I don't get that. Other than it's some sort of way to mark and indicate, oh no, wait, it would have bit you and you. But I don't know. What did you think?
I was sort of leaning on the marking aspect, that it's like, if someone's like, they didn't get me, you could be like, hello, yes, it did. Look, it's all over the back of your jacket. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's, it seems the most logical, but there could be some other wacko purpose, because when have these guys ever written anything that was logical? So it could just as easily be, like you said, like, some sort of safety precaution, or, I also noticed later that they were, it was like super green, whatever that stuff was that they were injecting in Madison, that Shrike did in Madison's there. And it was very like neon green like that. I don't know if there's a connection or if I'm just reading too much into it, trying to apply too much logic to people that don't know how to write logic. But I mean, there could be some other larger purpose to the green that we don't know about. But for now, it just, it looked really cool and like kind of macabre as like a reminder, like, if they hadn't knocked the teeth out, that ghoul would have like tore her back apart, as you can see, because of all the green all over her back. So, if anything, visually, it was an interesting sort of choice. So, yeah. And I think the reveal that Ren is Mo was the most, like, it was so obvious leading all the way up to it. And then when it's like, when Madison had the, oh my God moment, I was like, really?
Yeah.
We're going to play the moment like this?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, it was as you said, these guys never met a coincidence that they didn't like.
Of course not.
It's like, I liked how you started using, of course, in your notes, because you're like, of course Mo is Red, and of course she is, and she's the one who finds Madison. Yeah, no, of course. And
you use the same method. It's totally true.
Oh, I know. It is, because it was just one. That was like the beginning of just like, hey guys, we're going to have now just a complete series of totally improbable / impossible coincidences happen in the next 40 minutes, where people just in the middle, after 7 years, people just run into other people.
Yeah, I mean, after seven years, and they're in some random part of the country, we don't even know where they are.
Yeah. Right, but nope, sure, that's okay. Yeah, it's just but I was gonna say, we see Madison, and she's like doing the prison thing of like putting the scraping the marks on the wall to keep time.
Yeah.
And she's like, 7 years? It can't be 7 years. I'm like, what were you doing with your calendar if you screwed it up?
Yeah, like, isn't the whole point to count?
Yeah, I mean, so you know how much time you've been in here, you dim bulb. But yeah, I don't know.
It can't.
I don't know.
I've never been good at math. It can't be 7 years. I only counted 6.5 the other day.
But they should have just gone full in there and put like three marks on the wall.
Be like, I just started doing this the other day.
Yeah, I've been in here for 6.5 years, and now I finally decided to get, you know what I mean, something. But it's just like, oh God, okay.
Yeah, of course. And what's hilarious is when they do eventually, they break out, of course, because she has to find Madison, because Madison has to free her, of course. But when they leave, we don't see any from her oxygen tank cell. From there up to them being in a boat, we don't get anything in the middle of that. We just get smash cut to, I found a boat and we're off.
But I found a boat. It has the oxygen tank and the respirator thing in there already.
Right.
We see Madison take out the 2 guards that come running down there.
And so
you can at least, you can go, well, at least she's got their weapons, so she's armed, and of course she has the sledgehammer that she, with her bad lungs, she's still able to use somehow. And then literally the next like you said, it smash cuts. The next scene, first of all, it's like daylight.
Yeah.
When the breakout scene happens in the middle of the night, and they magically found a boat, and this now we're playing into what the knuckleheads do, which is their apocalypse is the most supply laden apocalypse ever.
Oh yeah.
Right. That, I mean, we're basically, I don't know, what are we, like 11 years after the end of the world. And, there are boats that look brand new, and everybody has a walkie-talkie that works and gets unbelievable reception. And, they all have clothes that are brand new and shoes that are brand new, and, unlimited ammunition for I mean, it's just, it's the greatest apocalypse you'd ever want to be in, because you would never want for anything.
Right. I mean, you might as well stay with Padre. I mean, the unlimited supplies.
Right. And we, they showed that sequence where like they're cutting up that like pig or something that they've barbecued, and everyone's getting a plate of that. And you see the kid, and he's making the bullets, and the bullets the casings and everything look like they're brand spanking new. I mean, they're shiny. You know what I mean? It's like these came right out of the package, whereas wouldn't you think by this point, all those empties that they're repurposing have been fired multiple times and are dented and dirty and, beat up. No, not these. These are brand spanking new, and you're like, okay. And again, and like you said, the fencing masks, where do they get those from? I don't know. Where do they get all the clubs and stuff that all these kids are equipped with? I don't know. Everybody has like an AR-15 and a sidearm, and where do they get all the? I don't know, but they have them. It's again, this is a knucklehead production. Everybody's got it, so I don't know.
But hey, she had the easy access to the boat, so she's able to get away. So convenient. So of course she finds a boat. Of course, like you said, it's got the oxygen in there. Of course, she's got some sort of like extra piece of clothing that Ren can put on to cover up her prison garb. All this other stuff. They beach the boat, and they're like, oh, let's pull in here or whatever, and literally Morgan appears. He like showed right as soon as he showed up, I was like, okay, this is definitely this is the Fear the Walking Dead I remember.
Yes, right. Remember Delaware, Texas, we're now in Delaware, Louisiana.
I'll give them this, and this is very small praise. But ordinarily, Fear would just have that moment happen. But they did explain Morgan is he's a snatcher. He snatches the kids now for Padre. And so he's on the walkie-talkie. So he hears them call out. They're looking for Lark. He knows that that's Madison. Lark got away. I don't remember if they said that she had Ren with her, but she has a child or whatever. But he just instinctively went to the same area, which is the unbelievable part. But when he said, he was like, I heard it over the walkie-talkie and I knew you'd come here. I mean, at least this crazy coincidence had like one tiny nugget of logic in it, which was he was listening to the radio and heard it. The fact that he just like knew where they were going to go is kind of crazy, but at least it was couched in something that had at least a tiny bit of logic in there.
Well, I agree with you there that, okay, if we're going to assume that all these people have these, walkie-talkies and batteries that never go bad and can listen in hundreds of miles and always get crystal clear transmissions. Okay, yeah, I could see that. But, knowing where that someone escaped and kind of going, I wonder if they'll go back to the place that I went to, and then actually like finding them is two different things, don't you think? It's just sort of like, really, and again, like, I mean, literally, he just like steps out from the side of the road, and they're just like, oh, hey, it's Morgan, what's up? You're like, that was the first moment where I literally considered turning it off.
And the fact that he has no reaction to Mo. You know what I mean?
No.
It's and I understand that he's trying. He and Grace are both doing the, disconnect thing. Like we have to disconnect. She's got a better opportunity if she's there. Because if you think of where they came from this fallout zone, and she was in, physical danger all the time of just like, I mean, she wasn't in physical danger, because that's not the right kind of, nuclear energy that can hurt you, because she was fine. She's fine. But yeah, I know that their characters are trying to disconnect from Ren, but I didn't even really see any struggle there. Like, I'm struggling with the fact that my daughter is right here, you know, and I have to do what's best for her. There was no sense of this is the hardest thing I've ever had to do on his face or in in his physicality, you know. It just wasn't there.
Yeah. Well, and again, that's what the knuckleheads are saying is going to be the drama of at least the first half of the season is we see Morgan and then later on Grace, and both of them are like that, where they're, you know, they don't want anything to do with the kid. They, you know, can't wait to get her back to Padre. They don't want to tell her anything about the past. They don't want to do any of that stuff. And the drama that we're supposed to be as an audience is what could have possibly happened to those two that they've so drastically and radically changed, you know, and that's going to somehow tide us over for 5 more episodes where, like, well, that's the mystery, you know, that's what's in the hatch, right? You know, I mean, first of all, it's weak. And second of all, it's weak, and then I mean, this is notes I have way down at the bottom, but it's just, I don't believe it. I don't believe for a second that either of those people would give that kid up. I don't care.
No.
You know, there's just no way. There's no way that Morgan would do it, and certainly there's no way that Grace would do it. And for them to both be like, yeah, we're cool. I mean, it's like, no, guys, nope, you failed. Writers, you failed, writers. I mean, that's what's happened. So. Especially
when, like, the very first moment that Grace, who by the way shows up at just the right moment.
Hey, look at that, a coincidence.
Yeah, I know. Ha ha ha. But when she does, she's like, "Who are you?" And she looks like over her shoulder and puts this big grin on her face. She's like, "I'm your mom." You know what I mean? Like, it was like something out of a commercial. It was like, oh my, like a Summer's Eve commercial. Like, "Who are you?" "I'm your mom." Like, very,
I'm your mother.
Yeah, and it was so, like, she looked so happy to see her, and then she just, like, gave her away. And they showed, like, a little bit of their struggle at the, like, when everybody was gone, but that's it. And it was just like 10 seconds at the most.
Yeah.
And I just did not buy it.
Yeah, at the end when he, I think Morgan says, "Well, at least we got to see her," or something, and Grace is kind of like, she starts almost crying a little, and I was just like, again, at that point emotionally I was kind of tuned out and was probably looking at like Facebook or something, but I just didn't. I mean, I literally, I mean, again, I was in the customer service line pretty much the whole episode because I wasn't buying any of it at all.
Whoa.
You know, the coincidences just kept piling one on top of the other.
Oh yeah.
We haven't even gotten to, you know, the tense moment with all the ghouls, which we'll talk about when we get there. And then the resolution at the end, I'm just like, I'm sorry. I did not believe any of it at all. It just, I don't know who these characters are, but they're not Grace and Morgan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seen, so.
Yeah, I don't buy it. I'm not even sure why Grace was even there. You know what I mean? Like, she came in, yes, she saved Madison, but I was just as equally expecting, like, Morgan to come out of nowhere and, like, you know, pop a few ghouls in the head with his stick and save Madison and drag her out of there. That's what I was expecting, because clearly Madison's not going to die. So I was expecting Morgan to do that. So then when it was like, boom, 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 like guns, I was like, oh. And then it's Grace. She saves Madison. She has her "I'm your mom" moment. Then they both do the whole, no, we need to give her up, and she's gone, and that's it. Then Shrike tells her, go off and do your, like, what was it, like maintenance or something like that. And then she has her, like, 3 seconds with Morgan. It looks like she might cry, and then she's gone. I'm like, why was she even in the episode? Yeah.
Well, and she's like a collector too, because she has a bird name too. as well, and I don't remember what it is. I don't care.
I don't either. Yeah.
But she does, and so she is out of all of them, she's the only one that they don't collect and take back. They're quote unquote retiring Morgan, and I guess that means he gets to live on the island because they take him with. And they take Madison back because Shrike is like, we still have plans for you, and I'm using air quotes.
Oh God.
And they take Ren back, and that and they leave Grace kind of just there, just like, okay, thanks for coming, and off she goes. But you're right. It was weird that they bring her in at the end, and it just goes to like one of the very first points I have, which is like, this is the season premiere. Where is everybody?
Right.
Why could we not have, they couldn't have told another story simultaneously with this one, particularly when they're jumping so far ahead. Are we just to assume that everybody else is like living in some little, house, a little cabin they found somewhere, and they're just waiting for Morgan to come back? I mean, is that what's going to happen? In 7 years, they could all be dead. I mean, I don't know. It seemed
unbelievable.
Well, this episode almost kind of had like a bottle episode feel to it.
Yeah.
Because it was very small. It was just a couple characters, and very obviously a personal story about Morgan and his kid, and of course Madison and her devotion to I gave up everything so he could be with his kid and go raise her, and I'm going to make sure that happens or whatever.
Yeah,
that's kind of the thing that traditionally in Walking Dead isn't about the middle of the season when they want to kind of put the brakes on the main story, and this kind of is the main story, and they start out the season with it. I was just like, really? Okay.
And there weren't any real stakes. I feel like the only sort of stakes that they created, and I put it in there that it drove me crazy. It was the back and forth of she needs to get off of Padre, and then she's like, I want to go back, and Madison's like, I won't let you go back, and Morgan's saying that she should go back, and it was like, and then changing people's minds. They're like, no, maybe I want to stay. No, I want to go. She should go. No, she should stay. She should go. And then Grace shows up and she's like, she should go. And I'm like, oh my God. That is your whole plot of the whole first episode, was just like, how many times can we talk about whether she should? I was like, are we going to have the clash in the background with should I stay or should I go?
Yeah. That's
really
what they needed. Could have been on the Walkman for all we know.
I know.
Well, and you're right. That was another you just mentioned, and I agree in that it's safe to say that Madison and Morgan are the main characters on this program, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so the knuckleheads are trying to sell us on the idea that these two characters, which are the only two characters in the episode besides Mo. So we have Mo, Morgan, and Madison, lots of M's. And really, are any of these characters at all in any danger of being killed or injured in the first episode of the season?
Yeah, no. So how can you create stakes like that? Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's just like, come on. I mean, like these guys in the history of their time on the show, they've killed one major character by getting eaten by the ghouls. At least I believe it's one. And that was John Dory Sr. And that was just because Carradine wanted to leave the damn show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like
they killed John Dory, but and he wanted to go too.
Yeah, he wanted to go too, but he wasn't like we it's true. I'd forgotten that John Dory Jr. too. But I mean, both times it was like one little bite kind of a thing, and then John Dory Jr. I think drowned and came back. We've never seen like anyone get torn to shreds by these guys, right?
No,
we've never seen anyone they don't have the stomach for it. And I guess, you know what, if this is the final season, if they really wanted to be like, hey, let's just like go for it here because we don't have anything to hold back for another season. And, in episode 1, Morgan gets killed. That would have been something. that would people would have been like, oh my God, they just they killed Lenny James's character. Oh my God, what? Or they killed Madison Clark. They made this big deal of bringing her back and she's dead. That would have been something where I'm like, okay, now I don't know what to expect from these guys, but it became pretty obvious to me that there could have been 100,000 ghouls in that swamp, and they're just like, we're good, no problems at all. Yeah. So, yeah,
or at least that's the reason to have the other characters show up. Like have Luciana and like Dwight and Sherry show up, and one of them is in danger. Like if they were there, I would have believed the stakes a little bit better. And maybe, Grace being there didn't like raise the stakes because she took them all out. So how did that, that didn't create anything there. So yeah, I completely agree. That, terrible. They, as soon as they leave, they go right back to, as soon as they sort of like drive away, they cut right to, Mo having her little moment with, she goes back out and does the training. She apologizes. They have this little like voiceover scene where she apologizes to Padre. Then she apologizes to the gal that was, her trainer.
Dove.
Yeah. Oh, Dove. Yeah. Thank you. And then she goes into the like training ring one more time. And she's got the sledgehammer with her, and she's like got all this confidence. Yeah, and the ghoul comes up and she just like whacks. She gets it like a really good swing.
Did you notice she didn't even bother to put on her fencing mask? She just walked right up to it and killed it. And it's like, done, let's go.
Yeah, she was in her regular clothes too. She was in like I wonder if it's like an age thing, because I noticed most of the older kids are in more like regular clothes, and like it seems like the young quote unquote like trainees, they're the ones wearing the orange gear. So but she's still in her jumpsuit. She doesn't put on any of the like fencing gear she had in that first scene. So I guess we're supposed to get the idea that she's a totally different person now.
That's right.
Whatever. Yeah. Yeah. So so that's that. She kicked ass, and then that's the end of the episode. We sort of glossed through, but we did also kind of mention at the beginning. I want to make sure we talk a little bit about the swamp setting, which it was like one of my only positives I put in there. And I did like it. I thought it's there's so much good opportunity for like fun lighting, like making it look really sort of misty and kind of dank, and it just looks humid all the time or whatever. It looked really, really, really good. I liked it a lot. And there's just something so unsettling about ghouls in the water, and I don't know why. Because there's that sense of like, well, those are the ones we can see. What's floating around underneath
from anywhere.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to drown, so they're just down there, and if you're walking by and they're like, ooh, a leg, So
that was my one thing that we sort of jumped over. I wanted to get back to. Is there anything you've got a couple of things on your list that I think we jumped over? If you want to chat about them.
Oh yeah. Again, just on the ridiculous side, one of my of courses was, of course, the walkie-talkies still work. Everybody has a walkie-talkie in this episode, and they all get unlimited range, and their batteries never die. And that's just a constant thing that I moan about from these two guys, that they just the only way they can tell their stories is to have this kind of pre-catastrophe technology still functioning. And I just, I don't know if
lazy
you've ever been. It is. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been in a really wooded area like a swamp would be, but you don't get really good radio reception in there. You don't. Dude, the trees eat up. Yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, I worked at the Goodman Theater. That's one of the most preeminent theaters in the Midwest, in the country, you would say. And I was in the lobby with a headset on, that uses the same technology as a walkie-talkie. And
Mm-hmm.
I would sometimes have difficulty in terms of range talking with the stage manager who was about 30 feet away from me and just behind a door. So like,
Yeah, right.
If there were like your headset was like cutting in and cutting out, like, and you know what I mean? And they have the technology, you know, when I worked at Blue Man Group, the same thing, you know, every now and then you'd be like, I have a shit headset, you know, that never happens. It's never like, oh, this walkie isn't working great or whatever. They're always perfect. You know.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But then you're right. I thought the swamp was nice. It was just different for the show. Like, you know, like we kind of said in the quick thoughts, you know, the nuclear wasteland was very washed out and colorless from last season, and it was kind of nice to see some greens. And you're right. The water ghouls is there is something inherently menacing about that, you know, particularly the idea of they're lurking under the water and you can't see them, and you know, all that. And better writers, I think, would have been able to play on that a little bit more.
Right.
I did like Pip's Pavilion of Wonder. I thought that was kind of fun, you know, when they kind of go there first before they trek off into the swamp. And I think it's right after Morgan shows up is when they're there, you know, or they get there and then he shows up. I mean, it's right at that moment. And I kind of like that set. You know, you kind of saw it used to be like a carnival.
Yeah.
You know, where there was like a tilt-a-whirl and a Ferris wheel and bumper cars and like kind of those festivals that go from city to city, and they take a couple days, and the carnies put all the rides together, and you know, they always end up with a bunch of parts that they're not sure what they go to, and they just kind of throw them aside. And you know, the rides are a little rickety and not all that safe, but as a kid you're like, I want to go on those, and your parents are like, oh my god, it's a death trap. Yeah, it's like, it's a death trap, but okay, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so I like that. There was definitely a little nostalgia for me. Because I remember going to, you know, where I grew up, it was called Frontier Days, and you know, it was every year. It was right around Memorial Day, and you know, they had all that stuff, and so that was kind of fun. I wish they would have spent a little more time there, but they had to get into the swamp as soon as possible, so they ran away from that. But that was cool. The swamp stuff itself, again, it could be me, it could be cold dead heart of me and the jaded reaction to the knuckleheads, but we're supposed to believe that these three characters are in jeopardy. They're on the houseboat, and you know, the ghoul, that she finds the gun, and then he grabs it and the gun goes off, and that kind of starts drawing the walkers, and now suddenly it's like, oh, they're gonna sink the boat. I don't know. Did it not seem to you that like Morgan could have just gone out and killed all those ghouls that were trying to pull the boat down, and they would have been fine?
There's so many times in the Walking Dead universe where I feel like a well-placed stick to the head would just like, you know, the pokey when people are leaning up against a fence or leaning up against a thing, and they're like, what are we going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. Use the sharp object in your hand. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, agree. They just like looked at the water rushing in like, I don't know what to do.
Oh my god. And even that, like when they're like in the water and you know they're walking by and there are all these ghouls that I guess we're supposed to believe are stuck. It's like, why are you not killing them all?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you walk, you know, the ones that I mean, it's just like, it's foolish to leave them, right? Did we learn nothing with Carl when Dale got killed? I mean, you know, it's you if you have a chance to take one out it's immobile, you do it. You don't leave them around. I don't know, that whole sequence there, if there would have been like, you know, 100 ghouls coming at him, okay, I get that. Now there's too many. But there were, you know, so spread out and so much space between them that I'm like, you know, Morgan, you by yourself could have killed all those ghouls and you never would have had to leave the houseboat. I don't know, that was just my reaction. It was supposed to be tense. It was supposed to be dangerous. And like we already said, I went into this, and once I saw it was those three characters, I'm like, well, none of those people are dying, so I'm not worried. And then on top of it, I'm like, this isn't even like a tense situation for someone who survived the apocalypse for like 11 years.
Right. This would be no big deal.
So yeah, and the fact that, like you said, it's like the water starts coming in, and suddenly they're like, oh my God, we got to leave. It's like, no, you go out and you just, smash a bunch of them. And once those guys are floating there, they're going to form a little barrier so the other ones can't reach the boat. I mean, I don't know. It's just common sense was completely gone. Yeah. I did like in the houseboat when Moren starts like cleaning the walls, and we see some of the writing that's there. And I thought that was kind of like a little nod to like the clear version of Morgan.
Oh yeah,
because absolutely. it said Dwayne and Jenny, didn't have to die or something like that. And we never really saw what it all said. And I thought, ooh, maybe in the time Morgan's been here, because it's 7 years. He went a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs again. That's kind of interesting, but they immediately went away from it and never really, because Morgan's in the shh. I can't tell you anything about who you are or who I am or any of this stuff. That's bad. So we're not going to go there. And so it was immediately they ran. They left the houseboat and it's gone. What else? Then again. Another, of course, is Grace shows up.
Yes.
Right. And again, nick of time. And then kind of just what I said before is that, excuse me, I didn't believe it. I didn't believe that Morgan would ever give up on Mo. I didn't believe that Grace would ever give up on Mo. Yeah. And then the other I didn't believe it is if we're supposed to accept that this kid has been raised on Padre without parents, in a very Spartan kind of upbringing of, we're teaching these children to be soldiers, and, there's no paternal or maternal bonds. There's no family. There's none of that stuff. Mm-hmm. If that's what we're supposed to believe, then I completely don't believe her character deciding she wants to stay with her parents at the end, and that's her motivation suddenly, because she does a 180 too, right?
Yeah,
at first she's like, I want to go back to Padre, and then she's like, I want to stay with you, and I'm just like, I don't buy that either. Why? These are strangers to you. Yeah. You have no connection. You've never had any kind of connection like this. Why would you suddenly latch onto that? So yeah, I didn't buy any of it. And I think that Madison's, bad lungs thing is, it's going to be, if it keeps up all season and she doesn't get miraculously cured, it's going to be just a drag for that character. Yeah. I mean, because she's literally like, okay, you have to leave me now. I can't, just like, oh, just come on. I get it. They're trying to harken back to the previous seasons with the fire at the stadium, and that somehow, but it's like, guys, you know what? You flushed away a nuclear apocalypse. You can cure this too. All right, let's just get over with it and move on.
I think it would have been simpler, honestly. And you could have covered it up with her clothes. She should have had burns on her body. That would have been so much simpler to do. And I know with, the burn on Dwight's face, etc., that, but if she had like a big elaborate one on her back that you just didn't see because she covers it up all the time, who cares? Or, there's some that peeks out under her sleeve, and then when she meets people, you see her tug her sleeve down or something like that. Yeah, because the breathing thing is just like, I don't even know. Like, because then you have to have oxygen around, and how realistic is that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's I don't know. It was a weird choice. I mean, I could see it for like a one-off, where you have a character like that shows up in one episode, and they're kind of doing the the okay, here's what we got to do, you know. But I mean, if it's like this is good, because again, Madison's going to make it to the end. They're not going to kill her.
Right.
So she's going to be in all 12 of these episodes. So like you said, we're going to have 12 episodes where they're going to have to make allowances of like, well, she has to get a new oxygen tank. Oh, okay. Guess we'll have to go down to the oxygen tank store. You know, I mean, it's like,
well, the scene was she was even delivering it to Madison to begin with. The scene where she's delivering it, she's walking around the compound and she's got like this cart filled with containers. And it, it didn't even dawn on me until just before she dropped it. I was like, where the fuck are they getting all this oxygen from? Like, there's got to be, like, this supply ends after, like, a few years. Like, I get it, scavenging and finding it in random places, but after a while, like, it's going to dry up and it's going to be gone.
Well, you have to think that, again, Padre apparently has electricity. Right. So they have to have a compressor somewhere and they just keep refilling the bottles. But it's silly. It's just ridiculous.
It is. On that. Oh my God. I think I covered all of my points. And it sounds like you got all of yours. Anything else we should discuss before we take our little break here?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, it was not good, and it just I think it just kind of signals that this is kind of what the show is going to be, where it's going to look great, it's going to sound great, and the acting is going to do the best that it can, but the writing is really going to be poor.
Yeah, and we're gonna have like one moment in the episode where like I was surprised, I actually enjoyed that thing, or I liked that, like, you know. And we'll have one of those maybe. Now I'm not promising anything. That's why I think we should search for the other stuff. But so we might have those moments, but then that's it. That's all we're gonna get. Yeah. And usually the thing that you like is a person and who they are, or it's a setting and how it was filmed and how it looked and how it felt or sounded. It's never the situation or the plot or the scene. It's never those things.
No.
Oh God.
No, it's not.
All right.
But hey, on the plus side, one thing I really liked about this episode is that now there's only 11 more to go.
This is true. This is very, very true. All right. On that positive note, we did end on a positive note. Look at what you did there.
See?
Look at what you did. Folks, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When we come back, we've got a bunch of feedback to discuss, and we'll talk about what's coming up on the podcast.
So stick around, because we will be right back.
The following is an emergency action message. Civil authorities have identified a biological threat that they deem credible. This threat could potentially affect the entire continental United States.
The dead are returning to life and attacking the living.
911, what's your emergency?
There's a man up bad and he's attacking another man. Looks like he's biting him, like on the arm.
The initial signs are puzzling, unclear.
Getting pulled out of their cars and thrown to the ground. It looks like the bus passengers are biting their victims.
Soon, however, the reality is clear and undeniable.
The crisis involving the recently dead continues. Parliament today passed a law that requires all bodies of the recently deceased to be registered and turned...
Toxic Bag Productions has captured the sounds of the zombie apocalypse and brought them to your gaming table. Background ambiences, zombie attacks, and radio transmissions that set the scene for your modern zombie adventure. Download MP3s from drivethrurpg.com or toxicbag.com.
Hey there, this is Greg Nicotero, and you're listening to Aim for the Head podcast with Diana and Steve. And don't forget to always aim for the head, because body shots, they really just don't work.
Hey, everybody, we are back. We're going to go ahead and jump in and do some feedback we got from our listeners. And and then talk about what's coming up on the podcast. So we said I'll go first, right? Yes.
Yep.
All right. So first in, our first piece of feedback we got way in advance of the show actually airing. So our pal and listener Alex Baelish sent in an email last week, and he said, Diana and Steve, I realize the show has not aired yet, but I wanted to leave feedback anyway. He says, yay, you are back talking about the redheaded stepchild, third removed, i.e. Fear. Unfortunately, as you can see, the writer's strike did not affect the show, since you need to pay writers to write it. I really am hopeful that Madison can save the show and end on a good note. That's all I can muster for now. Thank you, Alex. Alex was so excited about us coming back and talking about Fear that not Fear itself. He's not excited about the show. He's just excited about us talking about it.
I hate to burst your bubble, Alex, but I don't think that Madison's going to be able to save the show. That's just going to be my gut reaction after episode 1. But yeah, I'm not expecting it. But I do appreciate your passion.
Yeah, and I don't think she has enough oxygen to be able to, finish finish anything off.
We just discussed this. There are tanks everywhere in that part of the country, apparently.
It's a never-ending supply of oxygen at Padre. Come on in, everybody's welcome.
Come on in. Everyone gets a tank.
Yeah, you get a tank. Yeah, you get a tank. You get a tank. Thanks for writing in, Alex.
That's it. Padres Oprah.
That's it.
Good call.
I knew that voice sounded familiar on the.
That's right.
PA system.
Maybe she's having Stedman read the announcements. We don't know.
It's possible. You never know, man. Thanks, Alex. As always, for writing in. It was we were trying to decide last week when we were covering Chernobyl. We're like, should we put this in the podcast last week? And we actually held on to it and did it for this week because it just didn't feel like it made any kind of sense to include it with Chernobyl. No. But we actually did discuss it. We just didn't.
Yes.
So. Yeah. But we're glad that you're glad we're back. So that's great, Alex. We are.
Thank you. Absolutely, man. Thanks for writing in. All right, so we move on. Our next piece of feedback came via email, and this is from we're at the international desk, and we're talking. This came from Bev2, our listener and fan over in sunny Devon in England. Hello, Bev.
Hello, Bev.
And she goes, "Hi guys, it's good to be back in the land of the dead again. Well, where do I start with this episode? The first thing that comes to mind is that they obviously had no idea at the end of season 7 that 8 would be the last season. Right from the get-off, it felt very rushed. The time jump, although expected for this season, was a shock to have it right from the first minutes. Everything seemed to be conveniently close by when Madison and Mo escaped. Yes, it did.
Yes, it did.
The escape was extremely easy considering Madison had been locked up for so long. Why would Morgan bother taking them to a place that almost caused Mo's death the last time they were there? Good points.
Very good point.
Putting all of this to one side, there is no way that Morgan would have given up the rest of his group so easily, nor would he have let them keep Mo for so long without trying to escape with her again. Agree.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that was completely out of character for Morgan was giving her back when his family were finally reunited and he could have gone on the run. Have the writers forgotten that the man's mental health and violent mood swings all come from him not being able to save his son? I think it's safe to assume that they have. Okay.
Yeah, no idea.
I'm sure if you were to tell them that he was on The Walking Dead, their first thing would be like, what's The Walking Dead?
Yes.
Then she goes on to say, I think going forward, the only way to enjoy this final season is to place our brains to one side while we watch each episode and enjoy it like a mindless zombie. Who knows? Maybe they'll get their act together and give this amazing cast a final that they can be proud of. Keep up the fantastic work, Bev2. And then she put from sunny Devon, UK.
And she sent a little picture too.
She did, and it looks beautiful.
It does. It looks very idyllic. Thank you so much. Oh,
yes.
I want to go
there.
Nice
blue sky and puffy clouds, and yeah, it looks nice. The water's calm. Looks really cool. So Bev, thank you for writing in. And I think we both agree with you that yes, we are hopeful that it's going to turn around and be good. I think, though, the put the brain aside and watch each episode as a mindless zombie is probably the only way I'm going to be able to get through 11 more of these, to be honest with you. So, But thank you for writing in, Bev. That was awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Bev. As always, love it. All right. So next up, via the Facebooks, we got some feedback from our pal Erica Price. Hey, Erica, thanks so much for writing in. We appreciate it. And Erica wrote in and says, just when you thought the acting and dialogue couldn't get any worse, eye roll emoji. I am so glad that this is the final season for this dead horse. Madison, also known as Lark, has been living 7 years in this oxygen chamber. Really? Yet she's able to escape very easily, and she's A-okay without supplementation when her tiny bottle gets damaged. Then she just lounges on the side of the sinking houseboat waiting to get bit. She looked so over the whole thing. And what's up with the Padre security personnel wearing what looks like colonial outfits? If you've never been to Galveston, it's hot AF. Ain't nobody wearing all that getup. All in all, a 2 out of 10. I'll continue to grudgingly hate watch to the bitter end. Well, Erica, you just summed up what our entire season will be like. Grudgingly
That's what it is.
watch to the bitter end. Yes, that's us.
Yeah. Yeah, and the points she raises are good ones, She Madison had no problems getting to that boat somehow and driving, getting it out of the dock or whatever. Apparently that was lightly or unguarded, and yeah, she's seemingly running around without any oxygen, and the Madison can't really breathe. That's like a weird plot element that only kind of comes into the forefront of the story when like the writers need to have it show up, right?
Yeah.
And then when it's not, it's just suddenly I just ran a marathon. What are you talking about? And then all of a sudden, I can't go forward. Leave. So it's going to be like that all season. So
yeah, get ready for it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Erica. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. So our last piece of feedback, and this came via the email, is from Alex Baelish.
How surprising!
I know. And apparently he sent some feedback before he watched the episode, which we have already covered. And then after the episode, he sent us even more feedback, which is going to be more specific. So this is awesome. And he sent this via the email, and he says, Diana and Steve, yay, you're back. And I'm like, yes, we are.
Where have I heard this before?
And he goes, first off, was this story already told? It's the Handmaid's Tale's Testaments. Since you covered the show at one time, talk to Margaret Atwood. Even though it's fear, how great is it to be in the Walking Dead universe again? I forgot how much I missed it. That celebration was short-lived very quickly. Was it me? But when Madison, insert new name, is it Lard? Really, Lard? and I think it was Lark, but yeah,
Lark,
Lard would have been
that's
better.
A hard word to say, like, Lark,
yeah.
Lark. Yeah.
Lark, right.
Yeah.
He goes, what? But he said when Madison, or Lard, was getting drugged in the neck, ouch, they spent extra on the white foamy stuff in her neck. Picture her head replaced with the words fans of the show. Then the bad person stabbing the needle into her neck, and the writers of the show are the writers of the show. Felt like the writers saying, you will conform to this show. You will. With all honesty, I thought Mo's mom died, right? Question mark. He goes, only 9 more to go. So good to hear from you. And Alex, I think it's actually 11.
It's 11. I'm really sorry, Alex.
Yeah, it's worse than you think, man. It's although maybe he's only going 9, and then he's like, I can't go no more.
Yeah, he's on. See, that's what it is. There's gonna be 12 episodes. We've already watched 1, but he's there's 2 that he's just no, I can't do it. I can only he's gonna select 2 episodes that he's like, right. I can't do this. So for you, Alex, you only have 9 more to go. That's great. Look at what you did.
Wait, that's awesome. You are.
Yeah, we're actually a little jealous. Yeah, we're a little jealous of you. I'm not gonna lie.
And I do like the illusion there that Madison is the fan base, and the Shrike, the second in command, is jabbing the needle in her neck. and that's the writers as they're cackling like, you will conform to this show. And I think we didn't really talk about it, but the title, remember what they took from you, like you I think you kind of you made the allusion at the very beginning of remember what they took from you, and it's what the writers took from the fans, I think, is one way you could interpret that. Remember when the show was good and getting better, and they took all that away, and this is what we're left with. But Alex, I think you should do this every week. You should send in feedback before you watch the episode and then after, and we'll keep reading it because it's awesome.
Yeah, it's not feedback, it's pre-feedback, and then feedback. I like it. Really like it.
I do too.
Yeah. You know what's funny? His feedback actually made me think of something we didn't discuss, and we can maybe ponder it now or ponder it later and talk more about it next week. But when they take Madison back at the very end, and when you think about this elaborate oxygen chamber she was in, I mean, they were supplying her with oxygen, they were giving her these injections, they were, and they're feeding her.
They
and then
actually,
when they brought,
let me just,
go ahead.
Let me just say that they weren't injecting her; they were taking blood.
But it was green. Whatever was in the thing.
But she told Morgan, because remember she had all the marks on her arm and her elbow, the scars and stuff, and she said that like every week they took blood and sometimes they didn't cooperate.
Oh. Well, it looked like they were injecting her, but whatever. My point though is like all of this stuff they're doing for Madison, and then when they say, we've still got plans for you, I'm like, I wonder what this big overriding plan is, because and what it was leading up to all of this. They kept her in that cell for 7 years and kept her alive. Like, isn't it easier to just... Like, I understand if you want to live the Negan idea of people are a resource. Well, that's fine. Well, then put her to work and have her doing something. Yeah. But she wasn't doing anything. She was just a prisoner. So she wasn't a functioning member of the society, and she fulfilled no purpose. So why? I'm
again,
truly
they were
curious how
blood.
that's... Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, maybe that's what the blood, they were drawing the blood and using it for something. But yeah, you're right. I don't know. And again, they say they still have plans for you. Well, does that mean she's going to go back to the cell, or they got something else they're going to do?
Yeah, something different, something new. Yeah. Just his saying the thing about the injection to the neck, and it made me think like they're going out of their way. Like the whole scene where she's got the gun and tried to kill herself, and they're like, do you think we'd bring, ammo down here? So they're literally going out of their way to make sure she stays alive. So I hate to say it, but there's got to be some larger purpose, and I'm not sure I can trust these guys to really stick the landing on something that big. So
why? Because they haven't stuck the landing yet.
Yeah, they're still floating somewhere out in midair. They haven't stuck any landings. Oh geez. So so just something to think about. I there's no answers yet because they haven't said anything, but I wonder if there will be any sort of follow up on that. Probably not, but it's possible. So coming up on the podcast next week, we will be covering episode 2 of this wonderful season 8, this final season. Title of the episode is Blue Jay. We have to assume, obviously, that they're gonna, whoever's centered around the episode has to be another Padre person whose name is Blue Jay. And there's no episode description yet, but the clips we got at the end of the episode were kind of like there's some kind of conflict. We finally see Dwight and Sherry and June and some Daniel. I didn't see Luciana, but that doesn't mean she's not there. So there's this whole we'll fight against Padre sort of feeling going on. So looks like there'll be some action and conflict in next week's episode. So we'll see what that is. I would, in any other TV show, I'd say I'm curious to see what happens. But I'm not going to say that.
Yeah, I wonder if it's I wonder if it's going to be Morgan remembering something that happened previously.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, like this is not the current timeline. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, with these guys, who knows, right? But yeah.
Yeah, hard to say. Really hard to say. I guess, we'll see. We'll see next week. Obviously, we'll be back here to chat about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. You've got some stuff to talk about with Saint X, I see.
I do. And again, for people who don't remember, Saint X is a show that's on Hulu, and it is the star of the show is my future Australian ex-wife, Alicia Debnam Carey, who of course played Alicia Clark on Fear for 7 years before she left. And I just wanted to bring this up because in episode 3, and I want to say there are 5 episodes available right now so far, but in episode 3. There is a huge Fear the Walking Dead Easter egg in there, and I'm just normally I'd be like, you got to watch and see, but I'm just going to tell you guys because I want to, and it does not do much. It doesn't ruin the plot. It doesn't do anything at all. It's just in episode 3, ADC for a big chunk of the episode is wearing a T-shirt. And it's some company's logo, on the shirt, right? It's not, it has graphics on it. It's not like just a solid color or something like that. And I'm not sure what its company it's supposed to be because I couldn't read lots of the smaller writing, but in big letters, right across her chest is the word strand.
Shut up.
No, I shirt you not. And it has to be they did that on purpose because I'm sure they made it up for the show. I don't think I didn't look, but I would, again, just to avoid having to pay rights and all that stuff, they would just have their art department make up some logo, for if they wanted to have a shirt like that. You would think. Now, maybe there is. I don't know. But again, it says strand in big letters. And I'm like, that has to be a nod to Fear. And I would love to see if she talks about it somewhere. I have not seen anything. But yeah, check it out if you get a chance. Saint X I'm liking it. It's not like Chernobyl great. I was thinking if the writer's strike kind of drags on and we have a bunch of time here, if stuff gets pushed back because, we're no longer, the writers are off and they're not producing content, we might need to look for something to fill the time. And I thought, well, maybe we could do Saint X. And like I said, I'm enjoying it, but it is not like captivating enjoyment, if you know what I mean. It's like I'm liking it, but it's not like Chernobyl where like at the end of the episode you're like, I gotta watch the next one, or like Stranger Things or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, but I think you should watch it and see what you think, and it's a possibility because there's definitely some good stuff in there. But yeah, I laughed. I rolled off the couch when I saw, and I had to like freeze frame it to make sure because I'm like, does her shirt say Strand?
That's hilarious. Oh my god, I love that.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say it said Padre, and I think that would have been hilarious as well. But Strand is really good. That's really, really good.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. Awesome. All right. I don't think we have anything else to chat about. We did it. We stuck a fork in this thing.
Yeah. All right. 11 more to go.
I know. 11 more to go. Well, we get a break.
And we go by Alex. 9 more to go.
Yeah. think positive. Forget about the other 2.
That's right.
Love it. Well, folks, thanks so much for listening to us again this week. As always, we love to bring you this story. We know it's crazy. We know that there are some of you out there that are still loving the show, and we commend you for it. Write into us. Tell us what you thought. Tell us what your thoughts are on each of these episodes as they go through. And other folks that aren't digging the series, write in as well. Let your feelings out. Let them flow. It's sort of like knocking down like someone with the Force or whatever. Let your hate flow. That's what we're here for. Consider us like the Emperor, and you're gonna take, strike me down. Anyway, sorry, that went down
for the head.
Yeah.
Pushing our fans to the dark side for 7 years now.
Yeah. Doing the best we can to do that for you. So we're going to go ahead and continue our coverage next week. So be sure to tune in then. But until then, as always, I'm Diana.
And I'm Steve.
And don't forget to always aim for the head.
Because body shots just don't work.
So, Diana, if people want to get in touch with us, how would they go about doing that?
There are some great ways to connect with us online and leave us your comments and feedback. So to send us an email, write us at aimfortheheadpodcast@gmail.com. Our Twitter handle is at AFTH Podcast. Pictures and video are always welcome at our Instagram account, Aim for the Head Podcast, all one word. The best way to keep in touch with us is to like our Facebook page. Head to facebook.com/aimfortheheadpodcast to get all of our updates in your feed. I do a test record. There's things
like
to do.
Test. Record,
yeah, I went to the bathroom. I got myself a glass of iced tea.
Oh, okay. Well, does Steve just wait for you the whole time?
No.
Patiently.
Shut up, you.